Are there secret wars ongoing to protect humans that are kept in a state of ignorance? He said the problem is if the Ebens go away from Earth, what will happen? Our whole planet is a sociological experiment, according to this whistleblower. But why? The first time that someone tried to put the baffling puzzle pieces of other life in the universe together for me in a more coherent picture was October 1983. That's when I was still trying to go forward with the HBO project in spite of government efforts to block me. A Washington, D.C. military source who claimed first-hand interaction with at least one type of non-human agreed to talk with me off the record about the type that he knew as extraterrestrial biological entities, also known as Ebens. He was aware that on April 9, 1983, at Kirtland Air Force Base, I was shown an alleged briefing document for an unnamed U.S. president, and it said extraterrestrial biological entities, or Ebens, had manipulated DNA in already evolving primates to create Homo sapien. The military source told me that was true. But he stressed that no one in the American government with access to that knowledge ever wanted to be alive if or when such an announcement were broadcast to the world that humans are someone else's experimental androids. He told me that he had talked firsthand with a U.S. Air Force captain who received telepathic communication from one non-human at a crash site in the Roswell region. He said 1949, not 1947. Because the captain, more than anyone else at the crash site, could clearly and correctly receive mind-to-mind communication from the non-human and EBA. The captain was assigned to live with this entity called EBA-1 at the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico until EBA died of unknown causes on June 18, 1952. That Air Force captain said one of the most important transmissions that he ever received from this EBA was, quote, "We made you, we put you here on Earth, but you have to live it," close quote. I typed up notes after the October 18, 1983 meeting that began with this military source talking about information gained from EBA-1 and another captured being called EBA-2. Here are some brief excerpts from my October 1983 notes in Washington, D.C. October 18th, EBA-2, trying to teach human scientists about their EBAN technology. They use a completely different set of physical laws than ours. Our physics would not apply in their civilization, but theirs can apply in ours. They, the Ebens, travel interdimensionally many times faster than the speed of light, like the corner of a napkin folded to its opposite corner. There are many dimensions, two of which we might relate to, but at least a dozen dimensions we would not relate to. All Ebens look alike. Their society is worldwide on a planet in the Zeta Reticuli binary solar system about 39 light years from Earth. Hive minds, all telepathic. Leaders are for life. Even though they look pretty much the same, there are personality differences. The Ebens brought 5 different humanoid species, he said to me, juvenile delinquents possibly, from somewhere else in the cosmos to this planet Earth a long time ago. Our whole planet is a sociological experiment, according to this whistleblower. That's why the Ebens persist in the so-called guardian role versus the renegade blonde Swedes, Nordics, and other ET types. Are there secret wars ongoing to protect humans that are kept in a state of ignorance? He said the problem is if the Ebens go away from Earth, what will happen? They have a computer base inside of our moon. and throughout our solar system, he said. Is that sufficient monitoring to keep the blonde Swedes, reptilians, and others in check? He said the Swedes, quote, have a large menagerie of cloned biological entities, close quote, which do work for them everywhere. He talked to me about the presidents and what they knew. He said Truman, 1945 to 1953, knew everything at the time. And then Ike, 1953 to 1961, knew everything but put a lid on it. Then came Kennedy, 1961 to 1963. He wanted to tell the whole world about the alien presence and was killed in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963, for trying to open up the truth. LBJ, 1963 to 69. He did not want to know because he heard rumors about what happened to Kennedy. Nixon, 1969 to 1974. Knew and bragged about his inside knowledge to friends. Showed Jackie Gleason some retrieved craft and ET bodies preserved in tubes hanging on walls underground at Eglin Air Force Base near Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Ford, 1974 to 1977. The whistleblower said he did not know if he was ever briefed on anything. Jimmy Carter, 1977 to 1981. Briefed in 1976 and again later on, but decided the story was too big to deal with. Ronald Reagan, 1981 to 1989. He was briefed during the campaign because he was so pro-military that MJ-12 wanted to quiet him down a little. And then he was briefed in March 1981 after the election by CIA director with CIA, DIA, NSA, and NRO advisors present. And about that word, reincarnation, he said that the Ebens described this, quote, only so many souls are allowed per planet, close quote. They are recycled constantly at birth and death. But why? After that conversation, I didn't know who to trust or what to believe in 1983. So I didn't do anything public with this Washington, D.C. military sources information. Then a decade later, an alleged 1950s government document was leaked on March 7, 1994. This is its title. Quote, Restricted Psalm 101 Majestic 12 Group Special Operations Manual. Extraterrestrial entities and technology, recovery and disposal, top secret magic, eyes only, warning. This is a top secret magic eyes only document containing compartmentalized information essential to the national security of the United States. Eyes only access to the material herein is strictly limited to personnel possessing Magic 12 clearance level. Examination or use by unauthorized personnel is strictly forbidden and is punishable by federal law. Since the U.S. War Office was transitioned to the U.S. Department of the Army under the Department of Defense in 1949, the implication is that this Psalm 101 training manual for extraterrestrial entities in technology, recovery, and disposal was first produced before 1949 and updated in April 1954. The unofficial leak of this Psalm 101 manual started at a La Crosse, Wisconsin pharmacy when 32 pages of text and drawings showed up on 35mm negative film addressed to Don Berliner at the Fund for UFO Research in Maryland. The film was in an envelope postmarked March 7th, 1994. Don Berliner gave Bob Wood, an aerospace engineer retiring from McDonnell Douglas, permission to print the negatives for study. The first negative frame was the Psalm 101 cover. Then on page 6 of the training manual is section 10, Description of Extraterrestrial Biological Entities, EBA Type 1 and EBA Type 2. EBA Type 1, These entities are humanoid and might be mistaken for human beings of the Oriental race, if seen from a distance. They are bipedal, 5 feet to 5 feet 4 inches in height, and weigh 80 to 100 pounds. Proportionally, they are similar to humans, although the cranium is somewhat larger and more rounded. The skin is a pale, chalky yellow in color, thick and slightly pebbled in appearance. This was odd to read, because the gray ebens and other gray types are not described by people, let's say, in the human abduction or a whistleblower as chalky yellow in color. Is this yet another type or something related to the metabolism of the ebens? I'm now showing a charcoal illustration that a government whistleblower told me, quote, is almost like a photograph of an eben, the acronym the U.S. government uses for extraterrestrial biological entities. The Psalm 101 manual continues, quote, the eyes are small, wide-set, almond-shaped, with brownish black irises with very large pupils. The whites of the eyes are not like that of humans, but have a pale gray cast. The ears are small and set low on the skull. The nose is thin and long, and the mouth is wider than in humans and nearly lipless. There is no apparent facial hair and very little body hair, that being very fine and confined to the underarm and the groin area. The body is thin and without apparent body fat, but the muscles are well developed. The hands are small with 4 long digits, but no opposable thumb. The outside digit is jointed in a manner as to be nearly opposable, and there is no webbing between the fingers as there is in humans. The legs are slightly but noticeably bowed, and the feet are somewhat splayed and proportionally large. A second type on page 6 of the Psalm 101 manual states, EBA type 2. These smaller entities are humanoid but differ from type 1 in many respects. They are bipedal, 3 feet 5 inches to 4 feet 2 inches in height and weigh 25 to 50 pounds. Proportionally, the head is much larger than humans or type 1 EBAs, the cranium being much larger and elongated. The eyes are very large, slanted, and nearly wrap around the side of the skull. They are black with no white showing. There is no noticeable brow ridge, and the skull has a slight peak that runs over the crown. The nose consists of only 2 small slits, which sit high above the slit-like mouth. There are no external ears. The skin is a pale bluish-gray color, being somewhat darker on the back of the creature, and is very smooth and fine-celled. There is no hair on either the face or the body, and these creatures do not appear to be mammalian. The arms are long in proportion to the legs, and the hands have 3 long tapering fingers and a thumb, which is nearly as long as the fingers. The second finger is thicker than the other, but not as long as the index finger. The feet are small and narrow, and 4 toes are joined together inside a membrane. Would a membrane around 4 toes explain tracks at animal mutilation sites where ranchers and law enforcement have described hoof-like tracks or ice cream cone-shaped tracks? It is not definitely known where either type of creature originated, but it seems certain that they did not evolve on Earth. It is further evident, although not certain, that they may have originated on 2 different planets, close quote. And this is from the Psalm 101 training manual. Today, I can add the probability that EBA 1 types genetically manufactured EBA type 2s to do work on this planet. That means abductees have usually been handled by the small, large, black-eyed little guys, not the prime EBA intelligence behind the genetically cloned biological entities or androids. The concept of cloned biological entities of various types, made by EBAs and other extraterrestrial types, has emerged in more details about 5 different non-human species allegedly presented in a briefing for U.S. President Ronald Reagan. This Release 27A, Reagan Briefing, was included in a series of 35 reports from 2005 to 2007, posted in order, quote, to facilitate the gradual release of confidential documents pertaining to a top secret exchange program of 12 U.S. military personnel to Serpo, a planet of Zeta Reticuli, and this happened between the years 1965 to 1978.
If you like this video and you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out the next video on our channel.